DJ Lil create vibes now.
Welcome to another episode of the Get a Love Like Mine podcast. We are your humble hosts. I'm Kesha Amos. This is my beautiful husband, Sam Amos. This is season 3, episode 2. We hope that you guys enjoyed the season premiere, that you had time off in the summer to get caught up on all episodes. If you're not already doing so, make sure you go follow us on social media on Facebook and Instagram at Get a Love Like Mine podcast. And again, if you have a topic you want us to discuss, or if you have a question or asking for advice, you can email us at getalovelikemindepodcast@gmail.com and put in the subject line, Ask the Amoses, and we'll be sure to talk about your topic or answer your question here on the show. Anyway, you got anything? Today we want to talk about getting your partner to be dialed in, or how to get your partner to be dialed into you. So I'll let you give the definition of what dialed in means.
First of all, welcome everyone that's listening and watching. I'm glad to have those that are following. Hopefully we'll get more. But we really enjoy doing this, so here we go. We will do a lot of relationship related topics, and this is another one. So what does dialed in look like? Well, it has a lot to do with meeting each other's needs. My biggest thing, and I've seen it for years, is to see couples living like roommates. And especially if the home is big, especially married couples, one ends up sleeping upstairs, the other one downstairs, or we stay together because everything was much better at one point, and now we can't really afford or really want to try to pay all the bills on your own. So you either let the bills keep you in autopilot,
or the kids.
The kids will as well. But always financial situations. So we don't want couples to fall into that because it's so common, and then the effort's not there, and before you know it, you're nitpicking at what they are doing. They can see all your faults, and here we go. So dialed in so that we can coexist and enjoy each other's company.
I think dialed in, to me, it means I'm so tuned into you that you're my last thought before I go to bed. You're the first thing that I'm thinking of in the morning. If anything goes right in my day, I want to call you and tell you about it. If anything goes wrong in my day, you're the one I want to call and talk to about it. To me, it just means I'm tuned into you. So much so that I'm all in. We talked about being all in relationships before, and sometimes people end up in relationships and they're not all in. They're in relationships, like you said, because of the kids or because of their finances. I've seen people at the post office, when I worked at the post office, who got married because they had 2 postal incomes, and they thought, well, we could live a good life with this type of money.
You can.
Yeah, but I mean, it has to be more. You guys have to be all in. You have to be tuned in. It's okay to be in a relationship that's financially fruitful, but you don't want to be with this one person, but in the back of their mind, they're still hoping and wishing for somebody else to come in. Like they're just not all in. So
just from this first little 5-minute segment, if you're sitting there thinking to yourself, is it really possible for this mate of mine to be the last thought in my head before I go to sleep? Or is this cliche? Does this actually happen? Well, it does actually happen, and you might want to look and wonder if that's not how my relationship is. Why isn't it? What is keeping us from moving forward and being closer together like that. Like where this person consumes your day, your mind, and you want them to. Not, oh Lord, I'm not going to answer this phone because I see she's calling again. I just talked to her 15 minutes ago. You know, so if you're not there, I guess first you may want to ask, do I want to be there? And then try to figure out why we're not on that page. Is it, you know, it's the smallest things that'll drive the two of you apart from each other, and then you'll go so far down the road on just autopilot, you won't even remember what that thing was that where the break came, and you know everybody was kind of doing their own thing.
I think a lot of people start out dialed in, especially like when you're getting to know one another. You spend a lot of time during that talking phase, you know, on the phone, asking questions, getting to know each other. That's the dialed in that I'm referring to. But a lot of people, once they kind of establish themselves, they get out of that. I remember when we first got married, and we used to, well, before we got married, we used to talk on the phone all the time. And one of my friends who was also married said, y'all not gonna be doing that no more once you get married. And we still talk on the phone every day. We're still dialed in. He's still my best friend. So I think you just have to stay tuned in. And like you said, you have to want it. You have to want that. You have to actively pursue that. But a lot of people don't realize that they're not dialed in because they're not paying attention to their partner's actions. They hear the words, like, you know, they might still talk on the phone and they get off the phone, love you. You know, it's almost just like, hello. You know what I mean? It's not really any meaning behind it. It's just something that you say when you're on the phone. Or talk to you later, love you, bye.
Like someone sneezed and then they'll
bless you. Yeah, it's just, you know, habit. But then their actions are showing you something different. Their actions, like you say, they may see you calling and be like, oh, I'm not answering it. And you just talk to them, so you know where they are. You know they're safe. They're just choosing not to answer. Or they're not coming home when, you know, right when they get off work like they used to. Now they're hanging out in Walmart parking lot or walking through the store reading magazines because they don't want to come home.
And it happens. It happens a lot. I mean, like, we don't take statistics and nothing on it, but I've heard these stories many times from people that I know. And I don't know, folks just get on your nerves, or, you know, you'd be surprised at how many times you just end up with the wrong person because maybe you were not focused on learning who they were or their actions. And then sometimes, you know, we talk to our kids about this. Don't be so in a hurry to rush in. Get to know that person. Know how they think. Maybe not 100%, but how they think when they bank account is low, when they have a car accident, or when there's a deficiency. You don't have enough money. You have a lot of money. You're angry. All these different emotions are processed so different from different people. And yeah, you probably won't find someone that thinks just like you, but someone that thinks so far away that you never would have thought that.
Like, they throw it off.
Right. And then,
he was acting like that.
But that's the person that you got the apartment with. You know what I'm saying? So you didn't take time to figure out, like, this person been like this the whole time now. But granted, sometimes folks will know, you know, they've been told over the years that they're a little off or whatever, and they may try to hide that side of themselves. But what I'm saying is, learn that person enough to recognize the signs and the actions of them. So when it gets further up the road and you're, you know, wishing I didn't have to go home, which is supposed to be your safe place, but you don't even want to leave work and go there because, you know, it's just tension in the air or whatever it is. But a lot of that could have been eliminated if you'd have just took some time and learned who that person was.
I think it's hard for women because most of the time we're looking for almost like a fairy tale type love. and we will ignore the actions. We will ignore the red flags. I mean, the red flags will be there from the beginning, and we will ignore them because we are looking for that happy ending or that love that, you know, that CC and Russell love, or, you know, with so many different couples, I don't even want to say, because these couples don't, 1 minute they're together and the next they're gone, but people used to say the Jada and Will love, but people are looking for a classic, timeless love affair, and they see these red flags and they ignore them. I remember when I first started dating my first husband, and his son's mom was like filing child support on him, and he really did get fired from his job, but he was in no hurry to get another one because of the child support stuff. And my mama was the first one to point out, like, he don't even want to work, like, you know. And I wasn't trying to hear that. I was like, you don't know him. He's such a good person, and, you know, I'm defending him and all this. But then when we got a divorce, I went through the same thing. I had ignored the red flags. I had ignored the signs that were there all along. One of the things that I liked about him in the beginning was that he was not overly jealous or possessive or controlling. I had like the 3 boyfriends I had before him were all the same way. They all were controlling, all wanted to tell me where I could go, what I could wear, who I could talk to. And then I got with this man who didn't care about any of that. And it was a reason he didn't care about any of that. Because he didn't care. He really didn't. And it was his action. His words would say, I care. But his actions didn't say he cared. And I think a lot of times, like I said, us as women, we just ignore the red flags. And sometimes you have to pay attention to that type of stuff. If you are questioning whether this man loves you, if you have to ask him 2 and 3 times a week, do you love me? And you're asking not just out of habit, like, you know, little sweet baby talk, but you're asking because you really don't know the answer. You know the answer. Like, that's the answer. The answer is, if his actions showed you that he loved you, you wouldn't have to ask. You wouldn't need the words, but you just need to pay attention to the actions. Because there's a lot of men out there that'll tell you they love you, but their actions show you something completely different, and you have to pay attention to that type of stuff.
This is a bad scenario, and it's probably very common. But you mentioned women ignoring the signs, or even they just make excuses for what they saw. Well, take that part of the scenario and couple it with the part that us as men, we'll do anything and everything to try to play the part or look like we're the guy you're looking for. So you're ignoring the bad in me, and I'm putting on a show for you at the same time.
I'm pretending like I'm somebody that I'm not.
I'm not. And then later on, you know, you get tired of acting, you know, I'm going to go back to being who I am now that I got you. And then here we go with, you know.
And you like, I didn't even see this coming. Stevie Wonder could have saw it coming, but you were blinded. You were blinded and not paying attention to his actions. You were paying attention to the words. One of the main things, or how you find you and your partner dialed in, are your goals. Do you and your partner have common goals that you're seeking to attain? Like, I have a law firm, but I just opened a fee attorney office for a title company. It is my goal to get into real estate as a title attorney. My husband has a goal to wholesale real estate. So that type of commonality can help us, like both of us are striving for something. It's not like one of us is striving for something and the other one is sitting back eating ice cream watching Netflix all day. Like we are both equally seeking ways to better ourselves and better our financial outlook and better making things better for our family. We have that in common. But sometimes you have people who have a hustle mentality, and then you have people who they're just like homebodies. They're not out there trying to get it. They're not hustling. Like there's not to say that they're not successful or that they're not working or whatever, but they just don't have common goals. And a lot of times when you have couples like that, there may be chemistry, but I feel like you won't stay dialed in because you're like the one that's hustling might be out networking and trying to, promote their business or whatever. And then the homebody doesn't even want to go, to support or, offer assistance or anyway, just to go as a date. They just like, no, the Real Housewives coming on today. I got to stay in front of the TV.
And see, the way I grew up, I grew up seeing my dad hustle. Mm-hmm. My dad had 2 full-time jobs, and then he did all kinds of hot shots and mowing acres of lawns and all kinds. He did everything under the sun. He didn't make excuses why he didn't have. He just went and found a way to go get it. Well, then me and my sisters, we kind of grew up with the hustle mentality. And I've dated where you speak of having common goals, where I was dating a chick that my hustle, she would not only talk down on, she just thought it was a dumb idea. It's one thing for you not to have a hustle mentality like the person you with. Like, I'm not saying y'all can't make it or y'all can't coexist. It's not what I'm saying. But the strain it put on our bond, our union, togetherness, for me to pursue something or search it out, and she's looking at me like, oh Lord, here you go again with that foolishness. You know what I'm saying? So you speak of real estate. So my biggest thing, like, we do this podcast together. I couldn't imagine you wanting to do this, and I'm sitting there thinking, well, this got to be the dumbest thing you done thought of since I've known you. Like, yeah, we may not get into season 3 of it, or we might, or if I'm just sitting up here flipping through my phone while you talking, oh, is it my turn? Like, these things could put a strain on your relationship. So, that's pretty much all she's saying. Common goals will take you a long way.
Because it'll give you new conversation, like new topics to discuss. It'll cause you, especially, how people, like when they're new to working out and they want like an accountability partner. They want somebody who's working out with them. So it's like on the days that you're feeling like you don't want to do it, that other person can be like, come on girl, let's get up and go walk this track or whatever. Yeah. So having common goals with your partner is the same way. They will motivate you even on the days when you're not feeling your best, and they'll see the best in you. One thing I love about my husband is that sometimes I overanalyze a lot, and I self-reflect and overanalyze of my own actions and behavior. And my husband will not even know that I'm in one of those moods, and he'll just up out the blue and just highlight everything that I'm doing and make it sound so good, and I'll be looking like, that's true.
I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah, but I didn't think of it like that. But having a partner with a common goal that can see the best in you, even when you don't see the best in you, man, it's priceless. It's priceless. And if that doesn't get show that you're dialed in. Like, you wouldn't even notice those things if you weren't dialed in, if you weren't paying attention, if you were living like roommates, like you said, just coming home, eating dinner and going in your separate bedroom. Like, you wouldn't even be able to pay attention that your partner got up this morning, made breakfast for the family, did the dishes, did the laundry, did the kids' hair, cleaned the house, made some content to post for social media or whatever your hustle is. Went out, if you're doing real estate, went out and did a showing, had an open house. Like, if your partner is not dialed into you, they're not paying attention to what you're doing, so they wouldn't be able to offer that type of support and motivation that a partner who is dialed in can provide. Like, it's just a wonderful feeling to have that support and have somebody to root for you, even when you don't feel like, you feel like you're making small steps, but you have somebody who sees it as a huge step.
You mentioned in the last episode that men, it don't take much. Men are simple. We are simple creatures. Now, we mess up a lot of stuff, but we still simple. But women, you don't realize just the support or the confidence in that man when he's out just giving the effort to try. Try supporting him. And just watch how his whole demeanor changes if you don't already. See, I've been on the other side where I didn't get the support or I didn't get the confidence from the person that I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing this for we. And she couldn't even get on board enough to say, look, man, even if I don't see it, I'm going to believe in you because you going after this like you really see it. So I got faith and belief in you that you can actually pull this off. That would work wonders for a man who sometimes, you may doubt yourself or I may not know exactly how far this is going to go, but I'm at least willing to go down here and see. And then if it's a dead end, then I'll come back out.
Right.
But at the same time, she may be saying, hey, okay, that didn't work out then, but if you need my help, I'm right here. Man, just little stuff like that. Now, you may never help a day in your life. And he may not need you to. But to know you behind him with your pom-poms cheering him on, it like you say, it works miracles for him. You should try it's the smallest things you would never suspect that you don't do and how it would change them. Even raising your kids. Like, my son will come in and, man, he had got a good grade on some math, I think. Because we talk highly of math because we both love numbers. So naturally, the young son wants to, he said math is best subject to. So he come in with a grade of 100 on one of his math. Man, he left that math on the, it sat up there. It sat on the bar for 2 weeks. It's probably up there
and
right
I
now.
didn't tell you that he asked me one morning, did Dad see my test? I'm sure everyone saw it, baby. You left it up there for everybody to see.
But when I see it, now I got to make a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
See, I'm going to encourage him and show him I'm supporting him. So, boy, it's going to stick in his head once he gets some more math at school. Man, Dad said I made him feel good about what he's doing, so he's not going in nervous. Oh man, I'm probably not good at math. He's going in like, boy, wait till Dad see what I do with this. All because I made a big deal. It was the smallest thing to me. I said, man, look here, boy, you are really knocking him out of the park. Boy, he just lit up like a Christmas tree, man. It did all the good in the world to him to show him that confidence.
And you have to speak life and love and blessings into your husband. I'm not even going to address just dating relationships, but when it's your husband, that is in the Bible that you're supposed to speak life into them. You're supposed to speak blessings over your children. And I just feel like that encouragement, that motivation to your spouse, it works wonders. It means the world to them. To, I was talking to my cousin today. I was like, my husband is not perfect, but I choose not to focus on any of his flaws. I focus on I said, because he does so many things that I love and that I'm grateful for. Those are the things I focus on. And I don't focus on them by nitpicking on you didn't put your one sock, it fell outside of the dirty clothes hamper. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying when he does something, I show my gratitude. I show my appreciation. Like I said, I pray for him daily, and I speak life and encouragement in him. Even with his real estate, I'll ask, did you do something today? Did you do this today? Even if it makes him feel like I'm nagging him, it is my way of motivating him to do it, because I'm excited for him. So I'm ready to see, what God is going to do. So, I just think when you have common goals, even if you don't have common career goals, but you have the same kind of work ethic. Like, one of you might be an entrepreneur and the other one
maybe in corporate America.
You're in corporate America, or you working at McDonald's, whatever. You can still have a common work ethic, like being able to understand that, okay, she's spending all these hours on this job because she's trying to make it successful. But even if you work at McDonald's and if you have that type of work ethic, you can appreciate the hard work being put in. What it really all comes down to is your ability to coexist with your mate. So, how would you say is the best way to get dialed in and make sure that you can coexist with your mate?
Well, for starters, if the two of you are already together and you see problems, hopefully you can find the part that you play in that and find a way to reverse it or to correct it. But there are things you can do, just like we just mentioned, the confidence and support. But I mentioned this last season, and I'll bring it up now because it goes in with this. If you're married, and I said, just pray with your spouse just one time and come back and shoot me an email, let me know how it went. See what it does for your relationship. Mm-hmm. To get down. And it doesn't have to be a crisis in the house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Not that the house is getting foreclosed on. Just get on your knees, even if you don't have anything to ask for. Just get on your knees and be thankful in your prayer. Mm-hmm. But get down and hold your partner's hand and pray together just one time. And then after that, just do it 2 times. And then 3 times. In other words, don't stop.
Right.
But just at least try it. Because, see, being able to coexist is a wonderful thing. And when I say coexist, I don't mean we gonna get our share of arguments in. People argue, but you don't have to. So that's a huge thing for me. If you can pray, or if you have never done it, just try it one time. The other thing is you need to learn that other person enough to know what you can do to be helpful in their life. Like, for me, I feel like if I can't make my wife's life better, what does she need me for? For show? To say, hey, if he passed before me, I get some stuff? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is it? Like, you have to be able to make something out of nothing. Mm-hmm. So you have to be able to understand this person and find a way. Now, I may not do something every day that can be written down on paper to make my wife's life better. But just my mentality that I want to make her life better. Who doesn't? I see guys, man, they beat their girlfriend up and and they cussing them out and calling them out their name in an argument, and that's the person that you say you married, they don't go together. Man, I could not see myself even thinking about putting my hands on my wife. I don't even like to see my wife sad, upset. Like, she gets down every now and then when she gets to missing her dad. The same way I am with my mom. We hate to see each other sad, especially in that area, because there's nothing you can do about it. It's part of life.
Right.
Even that hurts me. Like, if I could take that away from her, I would. But I see people all the time that I've heard people say, that's good for her.
Oh my God.
That's good for her.
With her evil self.
Yeah,
she's so evil.
Because you should have listened to me and done what I told you to do, and this wouldn't be happening to you. Mm-hmm. That's cold. But, like, we share the same bed, and we live in the same house. Well, you may not be all down in there, cuz if that's what you think of them when something bad happened to them. So, look, you have to change that about you. Even if you just saying it to yourself where nobody else can hear it, it's still the wrong mindset to have when the spotlight and when it comes to that person concerning you. You can't think down on them. You can't talk down on them.
Oh, that talking too.
Oh,
I was waiting on you to have a pause so I could jump in.
Okay, go ahead, because I don't want you to lose your thought.
You cannot, when you want to coexist with somebody, you have to be gentle with that person. You can't come in aggressively. You can't come in disrespectfully. Like, respect goes a long way with coexisting. Even like you look at the housewives and they'll get into it, and then they say, they having an event where all of them supposed to be there. And he'd be like, well, I could be in the same room with her. I don't have to talk to her. I could coexist with her. But the minute that person says something out of line, disrespectful, they overhear it, it's on. They say, they fighting all over the floor, all food flying and everything else. But when you're in a relationship and you want to coexist, when I say coexist, I don't mean the bare minimum. I don't mean you could be in the room with them and we can speak without arguing. No, I mean dialed in with this person, tuned into them, where you guys are not arguing over every little thing. Because it's relationships, they argue over everything. It's just a spirit of arguing in the couple.
And they don't see nothing wrong with it.
And they just think, well, when they're not arguing, I just love him so much. But then when you arguing, I can't stand his says I'm just sick of him and blah, blah, blah. That is what I mean by coexist. Like, that shouldn't be. But that talking to, have enough respect for your partner not to say things that are hurtful, that are rude, that are unkind, that are unloving. Like, when earlier when I said pay attention to their actions, not their words, some words you just can't ignore. And like someone calling you out your name, someone telling you you're stupid or you're ugly or you're sorry or just whatever, and this person is supposed to love you, those are the kind of words you need to pay attention to and see them as a red flag. That is somebody you cannot coexist with. If they think just that low of you to talk to you like that, whether publicly or privately, that's not someone you want to be dialed into.
Especially, we don't want to get into this, well, I said it out of anger. Yeah, people do things out of anger, whatever. But it's not an excuse to me, I'm sorry. You don't get a pass to say, you know what, when I backhanded you and you rolled down them stairs, I didn't mean to hit you that hard, but I was angry. Surely you can get past this and that ice pack on your face. No, that's not an excuse when we hear. Yeah.
That's not an excuse at any time. Like I said, for my birthday, I have set some healthy boundaries in my life. I don't care who you are. You could be my mama. you're not allowed to disrespect me and use the excuse, oh, I just said that because I was mad. No, you said that because that's how you feel, and that was what you wanted to say. And
it just came out when you was mad.
Right.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about how to get your partner dialed in. And what I mean by that is, as a woman, what can you do to get your partner to focus on you, to put all his interest in you? Besides the obvious of how you carry yourself, because that is a big thing. Like, you can't have met them somewhere and you were dressed up and, had your hair done, nails done, and then now you in the house with your bonnet on and your bunny slippers, and you like, I don't know why he's not attracted to me anymore. Men are simple, but they are visual. They like to look at pretty women. That's just something men like to do. And so even my son is 8 and he likes pretty women. Like, he will tell me when I'm not looking my best, but he'll also tell me when I'm looking pretty. And so, us as women, we should take care of ourselves and do our best to, present in a way that's pleasing to the man. Besides that, I had this talk with my cousin too about how you talk to your man. I have yet to meet a man who has not told me, don't talk to me like you my mama. Like, that is a trigger for men. And I haven't met one that didn't say it. Even if they weren't talking about me, they said somebody was talking to them like they were their mama. And they don't, clearly, they don't like that. It's not, they didn't say, oh, she talked to me like my mama and I love it. No, that wasn't the case. The case was a woman talking to them like either they were one of the kids, or telling them what they should and shouldn't be doing, giving unsolicited advice, like you said about needing the help, and you say they might not ever need your help and you might not ever have to help them. But sometimes you insert yourself into things that you shouldn't be inserting yourself into. So how he speaks to you is important, but how you speak to him is also important. And this advice goes to anybody. It's not just a man. You cannot tell people what they should and should not be doing. You are no one's boss. You can tell people what you expect, which I think is a good thing to do, because a lot of times we have expectations of people that they don't meet, and then we're mad that they didn't meet them and they never even knew that that's what you were expecting. But you can tell your partner what you expect. You can tell your partner what you don't like. I wouldn't advise you to do it in the middle of them doing whatever it is, because that's just going to start an argument, because they're going to get defensive or whatever. But you can tell them that from jump. You can tell them that in the talking phase. I don't like when men do this, or I don't like when whatever. But you can't tell that man, I better not see you do that, or if you do that, this is the kicker. If I do that, you can't have none of this. Like, yo, don't even think about getting in this bed and you've been doing that. That type of punishment, that's the stuff they get from their mama, and that's not what they're looking for from you. So be mindful of how you speak to them. Make sure you present in a way that's appealing to them, and speak life into them. When you are that encouraging, motivating person in their lives, you will find yourself, your husband will be saying, she my best friend. And it's all because you focus on them. You pay attention to them. You have learned their habits. You've learned enough to know that he might get caught up in the TV, or he might get caught up at the gym, but he needs to be over here. So you'll say, babe, did you go over here today? You still going over there? You ask questions, like you're paying attention to what they're doing and you're involved. Like, I think that is what keeps them dialed into you. When you're encouraging, when you're motivating. But when you're like talking down and talking trash and playing tit for tat, oh, you play that tit for tat, you neither one of y'all gonna be dialed in.
So, from a man's perspective, clearly all those things that you mentioned already, especially what comes out of your mouth, is always huge. You can't tell a woman she's stupid, or even if you don't use those exact words, you talk around it, which makes her feel unsmart or inferior. I don't really like the word. And then wonder why she's not just dying to jump in the sack with you, or you talk crazy to her, and then wonder why she doesn't want to go with you to your class reunion. Well, you didn't really cultivate that whole scenario to make her want to go there. So what comes out of your mouth is always huge, and I'm sure this isn't the last time we'll say that on this podcast. You have to guard what comes out of your mouth. In Proverbs has a lot of one-liners, and boy, they are huge. And here's one that's always stuck with me. Proverbs says it's better to have self-control than to control an army. Do you know how many people we see just on the news that lack self-control? I'd say about the first 10 minutes of every news session is based on who got shot and how many. Well, if you'd had a little self-control at that moment, you would know that the gun was not going to resolve anything. It just made things worse. So before we go too far on that, self-control is huge. So men, we're simple, but you don't realize how much power you have about what you say and what you do. You can make that. Women don't just naturally, I'm not going to say women don't cheat, but that's probably not in the top 3 things of what I'm going to do today. You know what I'm saying? Women usually cheat because, they fed up, or, they didn't have enough, or I'm going to get you back. Men, we have a completely different agenda when it comes to that. We can cheat and it don't have nothing to do with you. Like you said, it has something to do with what you saw. So, I've heard men say, oh, well, I don't trust. Well, you're focusing on the wrong thing. She's not untrustworthy. But what are you doing that makes her not even want to be around you? And, a lot of this will take us all the way back to you need to really fix what's in the mirror. Because self-control is huge. If you don't have it, you're probably going to have a hard time. If you can learn to control yourself, control your thoughts, control the way you act, and by all means, control what come out of your mouth, because women won't forget. And once it come out, you can't erase it and roll the tape back and erase some of the video footage.
I tell you, the excuses that don't work is I was mad, or I was drunk, you provoked me. Them excuses don't work when the words come.
You did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, here we go, tit for tat, right? It's these things. You might find yourself doing them because you feel slighted. Life is full of slight. You know that if you work with people that, you have a supervisor that slight you, and there's co-workers that butter the supervisor up so they get a little extra privileges that you probably couldn't get. So life is full of slight. Stop trying to make the world even balance. It's never going to be that. But if you control your own self, that other stuff won't even bother you if you get your mind right.
I think we should probably do Ask the Amoses now.
Sounds good.
So I saw this, and it says, well, let me start with Ask the Amoses, which I think I did it in the beginning. But if you have a topic that you want us to discuss, or you have a question, you want some advice, you can email us at getalovelikemindepodcast@gmail.com. We will read your question anonymously. This is something I saw on social media, and I figured that you and I both could give a perspective on. So it says a woman says she was with her husband for over a decade, and he randomly joked one day that he had a crush on her best friend, but he settled with her instead. She said ever since then she lost all attraction and feelings she had towards him. So I want to know, how would you react if I told you that? If I told you I was really attracted to one of our other co-workers, but I settled for you, and it's a joke.
That's pretty funny to hear. Especially as far as she took it, like, I don't know if she was already on the edge of her seat, like kind of not feeling the two of them together, or if she's just one of those hot and cold people where she may have been hot all the way up until you cut the water off and bam, now she's freezing cold, because there's people like that. But I can't even think about that scenario without laughing. It's kind of comical, but I don't know what I would do or say. You say, okay, this was a joke, and I probably would have left it at that. We don't even need to go back and discuss it.
Well, what if I said a specific person, and then that person came over like shortly after I made the comment, and now you looking upside my head like...
Well, here's the thing. She said a decade. So if I'm 10 years invested, I would hope a catchy one-liner like that would not derail 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, maybe if you said, hey, I bought a pistol and I was trying to take you out, that may raise a little more concern. Do you still have the gun? Am I still doing the things that made you want to shoot me? Well, but just to say, that's so far in the past. That's at least 10 years ago. Yeah, I don't see myself getting angry over something that happened that long ago. That's almost like getting angry or disappointed or upset over somebody you dated, way back when. Like, what does that have to do with today?
I think, because I overanalyze everything, I think that in that particular scenario, she probably already had some issues with the best friend. Like, probably, how I always say when it's three friends, it's always going to be two that are closer than the one. Closer to each other than the other one. But sometimes when you have friends, I hate to say it, but it's a pretty one and an ugly one. So maybe she was the ugly one, and she already felt some type of way about her friend being the pretty one, and then him saying what he said. That's what I was talking about. Those words that hurt. That he may have been joking, but because she already had self-esteem issues when it came to that friend, she took it personal, which is why she feels the way she feels.
I can't strike down on the way she felt, because everybody's different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I can't put my feelings on her just because she didn't handle it the way I would have. Yeah, it probably wouldn't have, meant that big of a deal to me. But like you say, there may be variables in there that contributed to this. She may have gone through all kinds of turbulence with that friend, even not even concerning him, concerning other folks, as they came up.
They might have been those friends who always competed over the guy.
And if that was the case,
yeah,
and he said what he said, hey man, you probably could have kept that to yourself, because I'm not feeling you no more. So yeah, that's pretty wild.
But anyway, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We hope that you guys are dialed in your relationships or marriages. And if you're not, you're able to see the red flags for what they are and do what you need to do to proceed.
If you have a question for Ask the Amoses, don't be afraid to ask, because there's probably somebody else that can learn something from what you're experiencing, because like, we a lot of times we go through the same things, but nobody wants to say, hey, how should I have dealt with this? Or, my cousin went off on somebody and I thought it was wrong, but I didn't know how to tell them. Whatever it is, don't be afraid to ask, and we'll be delighted to discuss it.
Any topic: friendship, relationships, parenting,
money,
marriage, starting a business, whatever it is. Feel free to reach out to us. Like I said, hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week. Happy Sunday.